Hello everybody, this is Luke Godzilla fan, and today I have a special surprise toy review. Yes, a few days ago I was in an awesome anime convention. Well, it was actually a book mass, but it had anime in it. A huge convention with anime stuff. And I actually found some Japanese stuff there. I didn't buy a lot, but they had Godzilla figures and stuff. So I bought this figure. It isn't Godzilla, obviously, or Godzilla related. Except that, there's a huge fan base between these two, and the fan base always seems to fight each other for some reason, even though both of them make awesome movies, or are in awesome movies. Well, I bought the Gamera from Gamera 3. It even came with the tag. You're wondering, how much did I pay for this figure? Oh well, I'll tell you. 15 euros. Yes, you heard that right. I paid 15 euros for this figure. And it was, for what, it came with tag, which means that they probably didn't really know the value of the figure, or they were just selling it cheap so people would buy it. There were other figures there, like Gigan, Destroyer, but I didn't want those because I already had them in Bandai creation form, and just having them again would be a repetition. So I decided to get this figure. Besides, I recently also got the DVD of Gamera 3, and the movie's like amazing. It's like the second best kaiju film ever made. Of course, as I said, second best, because the first is always the original Godzilla. But this movie's like amazing, and let's just try. Here is this Gamera, and it looks very, this is the Gamera for this film, and the design looks really accurate actually. So whatever, so yeah, it came with tag. It even has awesome shot of Gamera here. And in here. Apparently he's 80 meters. Which, well, he isn't really as big as Godzilla then. Unless Godzilla's 50 meters. Okay, so now let's go to the detail first. The detail of the figure and paint job also are very accurate to the suit. Well, the claws, I think they were a little darker in the film. They still work. And I like the way his head is sculpted. You can like see the green eyes, and like the teeth and the fangs. I like the upper part here. I just love the design of the shell. That's one of the awesome things of this movie. Like, the design of Gamera is so unique and so awesome. And the shell is also cool. And here it has tons of detail on it, and it also has a very nice color of gold on it, which is awesome. The detail on the legs is also very high detail. And it even has some, like, I wouldn't say scratches, but like a little bit of texture under the feet, which I think is a good thing, because not so many Bandai figures do that. They just put like made in China, 1998? Weird, here it says 1999. Well, I guess they released the figure 1 year before, so they can do like promotions and commercials for the movie. I guess that's their strategy. So yeah, even the tail is very well detailed. So yeah, the detail is one plus for this figure. It's like, wow, it's hard to describe actually. But oh well. Now let's go to articulation. He actually has articulation similar to Godzilla. Well, to some Godzilla figures. Because Godzilla sometimes can rotate the head and sometimes he can't. First of all, the arms move. The head can move, which I think is odd because his head is like weirdly shaped, so I don't see the point of it, but it works. The feet can move. Sometimes you have to force them a little, but it works. And like I showed you before, the tail can move, which I think is cool because you can have him like here, or you can like make him look like he's flying, which is awesome. That's one thing I like about Gamera. Gamera was made, when Gamera was made, he was made in mind with that he could fly. With Godzilla, they just added that and it looks stupid. Like seriously, Godzilla should not fly. It's stupid. Oh well. Now we covered detail and articulation. let's do some size comparisons. I'll put, let's put Gamera on the left. I mean right. So yeah, let's first size them up with who else than the GMK Godzilla. The reason I'm sizing up with this Godzilla is because the guy who directed all three Gamera films, Susuke Kaneko, he directed GMK, Godzilla, Mothra, and King Ghidorah, Giant Monsters All-Out Attack. I'm just gonna say that name once, because saying it many times again is like hurting my throat. So yeah, I think that, well, this Godzilla is like 50 meters, I think. He's not 100, so yeah, he should be smaller. But to be honest, I think that this would make an awesome battle. The battle of the Kaneko monsters. Hahaha. Well, and since his movie was released in 1999, the same year Godzilla 2000 came out. Well, I think that Godzilla looks a little too big. I think this still could work, you know? I think the sizing goes better with the Bandai version. Beep. And now with the Heisei Godzilla, because, you know, both are Heisei monsters. Except this guy had more movies than him. However, his movies were more with quality instead of quantity. I'm not saying that the Heisei movies are bad of Godzilla. It's just that Gamera seems to have the better quality, at least in the last two films. Okay, so I think that since he is 80 meters and he's 100, this seems to be the most accurate scale. So now, we've sized them up with 3 Godzillas, but what about some other monsters? Well, since Gamera fought Iris, which made him bleed, and when I mean bleed, I mean like, he made him like all greeny and stuff here. So, let's size him up with a monster that made Godzilla bleed. Gigan. I don't know, I think Gamera's a little too small. I think he should be like a little bigger. But you know, I don't know, maybe it's just because this guy looks too cartoonish and this guy looks all serious. I think that's the reason. But I don't know, I still think it could work. I think the scaling would be better with the 2004 Gigan. And Iris is actually a Gaios, and Gaios is Gamera's ultimate opponent. So let's size him up with Godzilla's ultimate opponent, King Ghidorah. Am I the only one who finds it ironic that both Godzilla and Gamera's ultimate opponent always happens to be a bird-like creature, like with wings and stuff? That seems to be more of a coincidence if you ask me. Oh well. So yeah, I think the sizing, King Ghidorah is obviously 140 meters tall, so he should be like this. But to be honest, I think the sizing works very well. So yeah, and actually one thing that I like, since he is hunched over, he does go good in scale with some other figures that are also sometimes hunched over. The only thing is that Gamera is hunched over naturally because of his shell. So let's size him up with some Bandai figures that are also hunched over, like the Bandai Hedorah. Actually, this looks like it could make a really good battle. Speaking of which, there is actually a 3D Gamera film in the works by Yoshimitsu Banno, the guy who made Godzilla vs. Hedorah. And he's gonna make a film similar to that. You know, that's the film. It's gonna be similar to Godzilla vs. Hedorah, with Gamera fighting pollution. I think he should have done that to begin with, instead of Godzilla vs. Hedorah. Like, it just sounds silly. Godzilla fighting pollution. I mean, a monster pollution, okay, but I don't know, it just doesn't seem to make much sense. Then again, Daikaiju. So now let's size him up with a monster I haven't really shown in a long time, King Ghidorah. I think this is a perfect matchup. Maybe not in terms of real scale, but it looks like it could work for a battle. And both are really spiky. And, well, this is similar to Godzilla, so I don't know. But it still counts. He's hunched over, so King of Mons. I think King of Mons is a little too thin compared to Gamera. Maybe a little bigger would be nice, but I think this works well. I mean, this guy looks like Godzilla, so I think he would make a very decent opponent. And let's just size him up with another hunched over figure that is just as awesome. It's just as awesome as this figure, or almost as awesome. EX Gamera. Yeah, this would make him like a motherfucking awesome battle. Like, these are like two of the strongest monsters I've ever seen in a film, in a monster film. So I think this would make like one of the most epic movie monster films ever. EX Gamera versus Gamera. So yeah, now we got up with sizing. We finished with sizing. So let's just recap. The detail and paint job is very well done. It's also very accurate to the suit. You can see that here. And the articulation works. I mean, it's nice that they actually added a point here, you know, to satisfy the fanboys. You know, there are always people like, oh, he could have moved the head. You know, some people always do that. So yeah, and also the scaling is, I like it. I think the scaling is very good. So yeah. So for how much, I do highly recommend this figure, but for how much should you pay for it? I only paid 15 euros for it. But if you have, well, if you like Gamera, I definitely recommend this version over the Gamera 1 and 2, and even the Showa Gamera, because this one's the more badass. This one's like freaking awesome. I love this figure, and I love this movie. So yeah, how much should you pay for it? With tag. I think with tag, I don't know, 20, you know, $20, $25, maybe even 30 could work. But I think that my price was the best, 15 euros. And I know a euro doesn't equal a dollar, but they were selling things for cheap there. Apparently things they sell at a convention is cheaper than stuff they sell at the internet. I'm not kidding, they had a Studio Ghibli calendar for 5 euros. I wanted to get it, but I sidetracked, so I want to look for it again. I didn't find it. So now I looked up on Amazon, and it happens to be 16 euros. 16 euros for a freaking calendar? Are they kidding me? Oh well, enough rambling. So yeah, you should definitely get this figure. It's a weird coincidence that I recently bought this film, and now I found the figure of, well, the Gamera of this film. So yeah, odd coincidence. But I highly recommend it, and thanks for watching. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe, and I hope you enjoyed this review. In my next review will also be another surprise figure I got. You know, I got two figures, this one and another one. I think you'll be surprised which one it is. I was also shocked. Ha 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 ha. Okay, thanks for watching. Sayonara.